The Jays are back, baby. First, Danny Jansen walks off. We call him Wanny Wanson around these parts. And then they beat the homecoming Marcus Strowman. Come on. They are back. Put your faith right back in. You just took it out. Put it right back in. Next 4 games, they're going to be on a heater. This is Locked On Blue Jays. It starts right now.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Matt Bonaparte, Ben Shulman with you on Locked On Blue Jays. Thanks for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We're free. We're available wherever you get podcasts. And this episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. It's BetOnline. It's where the game starts. Come on. Jays, take down the Cubs. Cubs are bad, man. All right? But a win's a win. And we'll take 2 in a row of those babies. 2 in a row. Jays win.
Oh, yeah. Jays win. We said before the series, Cubs have been playing sneaky well. So I know it's not like you're not beating like the Yankees or the Astros or anything, but it's not beating the Cubs is better than it would have been to beat the Angels. Like the Cubs are better than the Angels. They're better than the Pirates coming up. So not the worst thing in the world. Marcus Strowman is a good pitcher, even on a bad team. Like that's the one, let's exclude the Angels series. Let's just take this alone. Like if the Jays had gone 2 out of 3 and they would have lost the Strowman start, it would have been like, all right, like Marcus Stroman's a pretty good pitcher. He's got an ERA around 3. Like, that's fine. And, they didn't hit Strowman. They hit Mr. Little. But big game from the big dogs.
He still leaves the park with a loss. Not on his record.
No,
he walks home knowing his team.
Yeah.
Knowing his team lost the baseball game.
I like Marcus Strowman. So happy to see him back in the Rogers Center doing the thing. Great Blue Jay of the past. But at the same time, Blue Jays of the present and future, Teoscar Hernandez and Vladdy Guerrero just absolutely showed out in this game. Showed out.
Dude, that homer from Vladdy, like, that's what puts him apart from so many players. Like, the ability to get that ball, like, up out of the zone, up and away, and just launch it. He's such a big dude, but his bat speed is so fantastic that he can get to any pitch. It's so fun to watch him hit baseballs like that. And the Teoscar bomb, too, on a pitch that I don't really think anybody thought was a homer when it came out of the guy's hand. But he takes that one out as well. So the power guys were there, like you said. Good defense by the Cubs. Nick Magical made a great play. Doesn't matter, though. Santiago Espinal made a nice tag. The Gosman, strike him out, throw him out. That was a beautiful tag from Santi. It was just a good game all around. A game that kind of threw back some of that confidence, like I mentioned, because despite being at the home ballpark, that Angels series just took the wind out of the team seemingly, but they don't care. They put that one behind them, and a lot of people might argue that managers don't make a huge difference these days, but I'm willing to bet that Schneider went into that clubhouse and gave this team some kind of pep talk to have them come out in this Cubs series and kind of just forget about what happened against the Angels. Because in baseball, that's a lot of what you have to do sometimes, especially when you get outscored. What was it, 22 to 3?
22 to 3.
So you got to put that behind you. Act like it never happened. J.R. Smith, Dion Waiters that. And just put that behind you. Just like act like it never happened. Play Chicago stuff, and that's exactly what they did. They're not a great team. Neither is Pittsburgh, but that means all the more that they have to take the next 4 games.
Yeah, on your manager's point, because I want to dig into that a little bit. I don't think managers do a whole lot in terms of like what happens on the field. I believe that the lineups for every org and the bullpen usage for every org is more dictated by the front office than it ever has been. And I think there's a lot of evidence to back that up. But regardless, like when they made the manager switch, which at the time shocked a lot of people because they were in a playoff spot and still are. And their performance hasn't been drastically different, to be honest. the word on the street was it was about relationships, right? It was about John Schneider and his ability to connect with these players on a level that at least what reports said, obviously neither you or I were there. And so we're just speaking on what the reports say, that he had a greater ability to do that, they believe, than what was currently going on with Charlie Montoya. So that's what they need him for. They need him to get in there and be able to deliver the right message to the guys when they're coming off, if not their worst series of the season, their second worst. We debated that a couple days ago, if you want to listen. And he has to be able to pump them up. He has to be able to connect with them and get there and dig something out of him. His main job, and I really think a lot of managers' main jobs these days, is motivator, is personality manager, is hot and cold guy, who you need to go up to and yell at, who you need to go up to and praise, who you need to go up to and deliver one piece of advice, who you need to leave alone. And look, I still don't think they're clicking on all cylinders, but at least he has got this team out of what looked like a huge rut. Even if they don't win today, although it would be great if they swept the Cubs coming off the Angels series to kind of erase that, they at least won the next series and generated some positive momentum,
I'm curious to what you think about this. Where do you put John Schneider in terms of managers in the game right now? How do you feel about him? Like, are you proud of John Schneider, or are you just like, he's there, whatever, he's the interim?
I mean, for some reason, I think about him as more than an interim. Like I feel.
So do I. I kind of think he'll be there next year.
Yeah. So I guess in that sense, it probably elevates him, right? But at the same time, like let me look it up. Like, what's he managed? Like 35 games.
Hold on, I can look. But I mean, this year, I wonder if this year, more than any other in the past like 10 or so, I feel like there have been more firings. He's managed, 23 or 24 plus 16,
but that's not counting one game. So he's managed exactly 40 baseball games, and he has won 24 of them, which is a win percentage of 600.
It's a little bit better than Montoya.
Yeah, I mean, overall they have something in the 550s, so they have improved over him or under him. So that's good. I am interested to see they have like challenge rates on here. Wow, he's got a really good challenge rate so far. This wasn't what we were turning this into, but John Schneider confidence is what it's going to be right now. He's challenged 12 calls, and 7 of them have been overturned for 58%. That's very good. If you're batting 50,
I wonder what the average is.
I believe it's just under 50.
Wow, really?
I could be wrong.
I would expect that to be over 50 just because I feel like they only do it if they know for sure that they have it.
A lot of guys burn them late in games, though, when it's like a
true.
user challenge.
So true.
Before the last 2 innings, when you can ask the umps for review, even if you want to save it till then, because the umps aren't always going to agree with you. But let me see if I can find the average challenge overturn rate in 2021.
Well, while you do that, I will say
there were some really good guys. Buck,
who
78% for Buck Showalter right now. Jeez. So I think John is a good manager, but at the same time, it's 40 games, so it's like really hard for me to rank him with almost anyone who's managed even a full season.
But when you have a guy take over mid-year, and I said this when he took over, like I feel, and I don't actually think this was the case for him, but I feel like a lot of times you either stink right away, like you did with Phil Nevin, or you're really good right away, like you were with Rob Thompson if you're the Phillies. So he wasn't that. I think he was a little bit like marginally better than what Montoya was, at least in terms of on-the-field results. But, like you said, they were going for the guy that was going to be popular in the clubhouse. And with today's style of managing, where, like you said, again, bullpen moves and lineups are the front office's problem, I feel like the relationship with the players is paramount for a manager. I mean, that's really the biggest thing you're going to have to worry about is, can you keep the clubhouse happy? Can you keep the clubhouse motivated? And if the players like you, that's probably going to happen. They'll respect you. If not, you're going to be out the door regardless of what your record is.
I mean, take the last successful manager in the playoffs for the Blue Jays, who's an incredibly successful Twitter influencer now, John Gibbons. I mean, no disrespect to John Gibbons at all. I don't think people were talking about John Gibbons in a way that they talk about like Buck Showalter. I think the point that John Gibbons got across was he was able to motivate these guys and keep them happy in a team full of stars at that point to go out there and play their best baseball. And now he's drinking buds before games on Twitter. So love that. But yeah, I think you want a guy who knows his stuff, but it's paramount to know your players like as much, if not even more, than your stuff. You have a support staff with you. You can make group decisions. But what you can't do as a group is discipline and reinforce.
Exactly. All right,
so, yeah.
Let's take a quick break. I got to talk to you about BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your pro and college football betting needs and sports info this season. Find all of the latest football league developments, game matchup news, and podcasts, including this year's opening week's games. BetOnline is also your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. Bet online, where the game starts.
It's Locked On Blue Jays, and we continue, great Twitter video, by the way. Our audio audience, I just put up John Gibbons sipping his bud before the Jays game. Love that guy. So the next 4 games, we talked about it a little bit. Today, when you're listening, versus the Cubs, and then a 3-game set at Pittsburgh in the beautiful confines of PNC. As we're recording this, it does look like the Pirates are about to close out a win over Milwaukee, a playoff team, although I'm saying this with 2 on in the bottom of the 9th, so you'll only know how that turned out. But do you believe that the Blue Jays will go out and win their next 4? Pitching today is Mitch White.
They should. Like, what do the Pirates have besides O'Neal Cruz? Like, seriously. What is Gregory Polanco still there? Oh, Cabrian Hayes, yeah.
O'Neal Cruz is actually not having a good year. I mean, he is going to be.
But he's a human highlight.
Yeah, but like if you go look at his numbers, like he'll do stuff.
I know his numbers aren't great.
Yeah. But he's not like having an insane.
But he's 6'7" and he runs like the wind and throws the ball at 500 miles an hour. So like it's cool.
I would hate to be his first baseman, if I'm going to be honest. Doesn't sound.
What'd you say?
I would hate to be his first baseman.
Oh, that would stink. That would be awful.
So
they should win, dude.
Yeah, I think they're going to go 3-1. If I'm going to be like an annoying realist.
So do I. I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, like it's baseball, and it is. I mean, they're a really streaky team, so I think it's totally within the realm of reality that they go out there and just win 4 more. You know, they won 7 of 8 before getting swept by the Angels, but at the same time, Mitch White was not good in his last start, and truthfully, if you go back and look at it, 2 starts ago at Yankee Stadium, I mean, he kind of just got out by the skin of his teeth. Like runners on every inning, only went 4. And then you got Barrios on the back end, who I actually think was much better than his line suggested in game 1 of this series, but still is a bit of a wild card, obviously. So I think they'll probably win the Manoah Stripling in the middle, and I got them winning one of the 2 Barrios Whites. I guess, how badly do you think they need to win 4 games? Like, would you?
Oh, they need to. We all know they need to. They have to win these games. I don't know how many times I have to say this on this podcast before people understand. I've said this so many times, but I'm going to say it again because it's really important. When you get to the end of the season, what happened last year when they were at the end of the season? 91 and 71. I remember the day the season ended. You were so mad. I'll never forget.
Well, because we won on the final day of the season and had 91 wins.
You were so mad. And what were you thinking? You were thinking, all right, let's look back in the schedule and see where we should have picked up a win. I know you
I was
probably
thinking
were.
if we were the Mets, we would have won the NL East easy. I hated the Mets
That's
last
what
year.
people do. When you look at a team that performs really well and misses the playoffs by an inch, what do? You look back and you say, "Wow, we couldn't play one better game against the Pirates. We couldn't play one better game against the Cubs. Are you kidding me?" That's the kind of thing that makes or breaks a season, and that's why the Rays are always good. That's why the Giants were good last year, is because they were teams that just played every single game like it mattered. Like every single game was their last, and they won because of it. They weren't the most talented teams out there, but they played really good baseball because they cared. And that's what gets you to the playoffs. They have to beat the bad teams. That's just how it works. You have to go out there and just annihilate the Pirates in this series. They don't have a starter with an ERA below 4, okay? Tyler Heinemann, former Blue Jay, has started the majority of their games at catcher. This is not a good baseball team, okay? They have to win these games.
We mentioned Jacob Stallings. Don't give him credit. Jacob Stallings is not on the Pirates anymore. He's a good player.
I said. I said he's on Miami now.
Oh, okay. My bad. Yeah, I mean, I like they're not going to fall out of the race right now if they don't win all 4 of them. But yeah, I agree, especially with what happened with the Angels. Because if they win 3 out of 4, like I honestly predict they're going to, they had a 9-game stretch against the Angels, Cubs, and Pirates where they went 5-4. That's just not good enough. It's just not good enough.
Yeah. I mean, those Angels losses are going to be the ones you look at and say, really? And also like the big losing streak. But like, I honestly think every team goes through a losing streak at some point in the season. Like everyone talked about the Yankees so much early in the season about breaking records. Of course they were going to slump. Like that's just how baseball works. Like it is so rare that a team holds that throughout the entire season. And even when they do, like the 2001 Mariners, they lose in the playoffs. So you lose at some point. It's just how it works. So you can't just look at one losing streak, but it's those series where you get swept by the Angels and get dominated, where it's like, seriously? Are you kidding? Like you couldn't win one more against the Angels? So you cannot afford to lose this series against the Pirates, let alone get swept or anything. You have to take the sweep.
Yeah, and the Orioles are on the horizon, who frankly the Blue Jays have just not played well this year. After the Pirates series, after these 4 games, it's a series with the O's. And I mean, the Blue Jays, thankfully, in the last 2 days have done themselves some help in that wild card race. But because, they lost 3 to Anaheim while the Orioles took 2 of 3 from the American League leaders, Houston, the Blue Jays sit right now with a 3-game lead. You know what I would want? More than a 4-game lead going into a 4-game series with the Orioles. Because worst case scenario, although, I mean, you're probably in a lot of trouble anyway if you get swept by the Orioles. But worst case scenario, wouldn't you feel better knowing that you had a 5-game cushion, so even if all hell broke loose, you're still safe? Exactly. That was at least when they beat the Yankees and Red Sox, they built up that all hell breaks loose cushion, and then all hell broke loose and they got swept by the Angels. But at least because they had played well the week before that, they didn't drop out of the playoffs. If they hadn't played well against the Yankees and Red Sox, they would have dropped out. So you need that cushion.
I 100% agree.
Speaking of cushion,
what?
You go. I was going to do it. You do it.
Yeah, okay. Audio listeners, you're getting 2 ads back to back, belly to belly, right here. But we're still here. We're still here for the video audience. That's a John Sterlingism. How do you not know that?
Because you know how much Yankees radio I listen to. So much of it.
He says back to back, belly to belly. He's a man. Okay, we're on to it. Okay, we're talking. Okay, so a couple episodes ago, sorry, I'm being very sloppy here. We're talking about chase down rankings.
There you
go. A couple episodes ago, we ranked the teams that are supposedly chasing down the Blue Jays. Those 4 teams being the Orioles, Twins, White Sox, and Guardians, not necessarily in that order. And we ranked them in terms of how confident we were that they would catch the Jays, and then how confident we were that they would not. Do you have a question, Mr. Shulman?
Can I put one clarifying point in?
Go ahead, man.
Because people might be like, the Guardians, they're leading their division. But we're just being like, it's only a 2-game lead as we record this with the Twins. So it's like they could be in the mix, Anyone could be in the mix.
It's true. It's very true.
And we're not counting Tampa and Seattle because we can coexist with them in the playoffs. The Blue Jays can coexist with Tampa and Seattle.
My ranking last time in terms of best team to worst team was Orioles, Guardians, Twins, White Sox. And now I'm not going to tell you whether or not it's changed. You go first.
Okay, my ranking last time was Orioles, Guardians, White Sox, Twins. Orioles being the scariest contender, and the Twins being the least. Everyone on my list has at least changed position somehow. I'll let you know that. My number 4 is the White Sox, obviously now. We've kind of run out of – I still felt okay like a week ago being like, they're so talented. If they put one run together, they're a better team than all the other teams. And then they lost 5 in a row. And like, I'm done. There's no more time. I'm sorry. Like, there technically is time, but why would I believe it's coming? So not only am I putting them 4, but I am voting to potentially just evict them at this point. Like, they're not on my radar. I'm not checking their scores. I don't care about them. They're 7 back of the wild card, and the Jays haven't even played that well recently.
Yeah. Listen, I called it. People called me out. Were saying, this guy Bones doesn't know what he's talking about when he puts the White Sox last. Listen, I was right. So I'm just saying I was right. I still got the White Sox last. And if you had a keen sense of predictability, you'd know that my list didn't change. My list didn't change, man.
So should I go through mine then? Because mine changed.
Go through your whole list.
So my number 3 is now the Twins. I'm still not really scared of them. They went on a mini skid, but they're playing they're far less talented than the White Sox. Like, credit to them for being in the race. I actually didn't even really expect them to be here beginning of the year. They're not even supposed to be here. So, like, I'm totally fine with that. My number 2, and this is going to ruffle some feathers, and I might regret this later, is the Baltimore Orioles. I had them number 1 before, and I still think my reason for having them number 1 before is valid, that they play the Jays a lot. But in a way that doesn't make me as scared because the Jays control it. They're good. Like, it's not a slight on them. It's really, I guess I'll go to my number 1. Every day the Cleveland Guardians are more legit to me. It just makes sense. They just pitch fantastically. They're really, really strong in the rotation. And they have maybe the best closer in baseball. Sorry, hater. And like, Clase's dirty. And they have like 6 guys that hit 280 or above. And J-Ram's dirty. And they play great middle infield defense. And I just it's weird because they would only be chasing the Jays in theory if they fell beyond the Whites or beyond the Twins. So it kind of doesn't make sense. I get it. But now the Orioles, I'm still like babying them, being like, oh, like, good job. Like, I know I shouldn't
that's
be, but
your funeral, dude.
But the roster doesn't make sense.
Doesn't matter. See, this is the same argument we had last time. Where what did you have first last time?
I put the O's 1 last time. We didn't have this argument.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I had an argument with somebody else. Or just my reasoning is that the Orioles are that kind of team that don't care who's on their team. They're just going to cause chaos. Remember, what was it, 2014 or 2012, when they knocked the Red Sox out and they had no chance of making it anyway?
2014 they made the playoffs. 2016 they made the wild card game and the Blue Jays beat them. Well, then so maybe 2012.
Misremembering. Yeah, maybe it was 2012. I just remember one year, and I went to a game the next year, and it was just like they played on the Jumbotron. Like, remember that time we knocked the Red Sox out? And I was like, this is what you guys like celebrate? That's crazy. But like, that's the kind of organization that gets this done. So I don't care who's on their team. I am most afraid of the Orioles.
It's fair. They're being carried so much by like a rookie who I love. I love Adley Rutschman, but like a rookie and a guy who's never closed games before, and like Josh Stowers and the White Sox handed them games. Like, they should have lost a series to the White Sox. If Adam Engel catches the ball, they lose a series to the White Sox.
Yeah, totally.
And yet they beat Houston in a series, and I have no reasonable explanation for that. But if it really came down to it, Tito and the Guardians and the rotation are just like an actually well-built team. Like, I think we just treat them like the Rays and don't give them credit for the
so great, dude.
I know everyone's high on Buck. For my money, Tito's the best manager in baseball. And that's me. And both of them are fantastic, but it's exciting.
Awesome in Cleveland. Wow.
Awesome.
I'm just looking at the numbers right now. He's only had one season under 500. It was last year. They went 80 and 82. That's crazy.
And he left the team last year. He had health stuff to work with.
Yes, he did. I forgot about that.
Wasn't even there.
Wow. That's nuts.
Yeah. And the Guardians were nothing before he got there. For years.
Yeah, he's the man. What can we say? He's the dude.
He's the man. But yeah, I mean, both. I would say that we have really created a divide. Would you say this is fair? 1 and 2 are on such a different plateau than 3 and 4. Even like the White Sox are so
totally. Because I don't have any faith in the Twins either. Like, the Twins will continue the streak of not winning a playoff game this year, even if they make the playoffs.
Yeah, and they're not gonna. That's all I got.
That's all I have as well. Thanks for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. Now for your second listen, go check out the Ultimate Pro Football Preview 2022. An 8-episode extravaganza to get you ready for the NFL season. The local team experts of the Locked On Podcast Network, plus a betting angle from Lee Sterling of Locked On Bets, all combining into one ultimate NFL preview. Search for Ultimate Pro Football Preview 2022 in your Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Matt Bonaparte. He's Ben Shulman. We will be back tomorrow talking Jays, baby, talking more Jays, hopefully talking about a series sweep and previewing another series sweep. We'll see you then.